Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Young Swine Flu because both me and Wannabe Reviewer are a little sick, but we're coming at you with another Pokemon analysis, Pokemon movie analysis. There we go. This time we're going to be talking about Pokemon Heroes, Latios and Latias. And just so you know, we're gonna be like really skipping over a lot of the details in the movie because this movie is sort of like the second movie where nothing really happens in it. But the difference is that this one does have a little bit more character development for Latios and Latias. And, we'll talk about that when we can. But without further ado, we're just going to dive right in. So the movie starts off with with a prologue where basically these two girls, we find out that they're Annie and Oakley, and they steal a book talking about Latios and Soldew and some like defense system in this town that we'll be seeing later. And they basically say that, yeah, we're gonna go take stuff. We want the soul do. We want that mechanism. And so that leads us out of the prologue and into the original act of the movie. It starts off with, as usual, a rendition of that current theme song, played in the background of something. There's a race. Misty wins. Ash finds this girl character, and she's being, basically attacked by these two girls, Annie and Oakley, and then Ash rescues her. And then skipping a little bit forward from that, Ash follows the girl back into like this basically like secret garden where it's revealed that that girl is actually Latias, and Latios just transformed into the girl. And then we meet Latios, who's very protective, and then we meet Bianca and her grandfather, who are like the guardians for these two, and they also guard the Soldew. And earlier, the Soldew, well, in the English dub, is said to contain the spirit of a Latios. And we'll talk about that later, the differences between the dubs. But in this dub, this the Soldew contains a Latios spirit, and it's said to power the defense system for this town. And there's a prophecy that if it were to ever be used again, it would destroy the town and destroy the Soldew. And Annie and Oakley, of course, they track down the secret garden because they have a camera that, for some reason, is following Ash, even though they didn't really either. Either way, they follow Ash, they get the location, they show up later, and then they kidnap Latios. But Latios is able to get away because Latios, defends her and like jumps in front of attacks and whatnot. And then Latios tracks down Ash, reveals what's happening, and then Ash and Co. makes his way to the museum where all this is taken down. Annie and Oakley, they steal the Soldew, they activate the machine, and then Oakley goes all power hungry and wants to use the machine to take over the world, but freaking Annie just wants the Soldew because she's a basic girl. She has a Starbucks cup. And, Oakley is using the machine to like lock down the town and is removing its water and whatnot due to the ramifications of using the machine. And then Ash and Co. make their way there. They free Latios, and things are kind of going crazy. At this point, Annie and Oakley are no longer in charge of the machine. They try to escape, but as they try to run, Annie tries to grab the Soldew, and it shatters. And then this makes the machine go haywire. It causes, like, it literally pulls the water out of the town. It creates a giant tsunami that's going to wipe out the town. And then Latias and the very severely weakened Latios rush forward. They glow mystically and they stop the tidal wave. Everything is happy and fine and dandy, but then we cut back to Latios and Latios. Yes, there are two Latios, but no, to Latias and Latios. Um, and Latios is like in the spirit form, indicating that he has unfortunately passed away due to his injuries and expending all of his power. And then Ash and friends make their way to Latias, and Latios uses some type of projection to show them what he is seeing, and it's basically showing him like ascending above the earth, and then they all come back down, and it's shown that Latios uses his spirit to create the new Soldew. to protect the town, and they say that Latios is the new guardian. And then as the movie is ending, Latias transforms back into Bianca because that's who she was using as her disguise, gives Ash a picture of himself and Pikachu, and then gives Ash a peck on the cheek, which, you know,
That's
everyone
hot.
goes crazy. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Very hot scene. I had to contain myself. Um, but it didn't work. I had to relieve myself after watching the movie. But with that, that's pretty much the end of the movie. Quick 5 minute summary. How was that?
I would say you did pretty good. I mean, I could probably do a better job, but
I
you
mean,
tried your best.
as usual, Wannabe Reviewer is better than me. But so let's dive in with our analysis of this movie. And I know Wannabe Reviewer has, some pretty big thoughts, and he'll be able to explain it more than me. So I will let him take the stand.
All right, so first thing I want to talk about is something that Charific kind of touched upon earlier. It is weird how there's like a really big difference. I mean, there might be differences in other movies also, but this one specifically, if you go to the Wikipedia page, there's a whole section that says differences between like the Japanese and American version. I thought that was really interesting. And sure enough, the movie version I was watching had the option for either Japanese dub with English subs or, English dub. And I was kind of going back and forth to look at some differences. And it is really weird how they change a lot of stuff. For instance, when the movie starts in the American version, you're watching this little prologue thing. It has like this little story about like these old people finding these kids on the beach, taking them home, and protecting them from like chaos that's happening. And the kids transform into Latios and Latias, and they give the old people like the soul due. Once other Latios and Latias show up because they're grateful, blah blah blah. Right? In the American version, for whatever reason, you're watching this little prologue play out completely like without narration. It's just music playing, but there's no narration. However, in the Japanese version, you have a narration explaining what's happening. It's done by Annie and Oakley, which makes sense because they're reading the book, right? So it makes sense that they're reading the little prologue, then it cuts to them stealing the book, and we proceed. But for whatever reason, the American version doesn't have this narration, which is kind of awkward. Another thing, in the American version, Annie and Oakley are part of Team Rocket for some reason. Like that's just like put in there where as they're flying away, they're like flying in car or whatever after they stole from the museum. There's like a line that it even feels awkward if you like listen to it. Like one tells the other like, "Oh yeah, don't forget, we should get those Pokemon for Giovanni." And the other one's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." But it sounds like really awkward. Like you can tell it's just like added in there. Sure enough, in the Japanese version, as they're flying away, they kind of just smirk at each other and they don't say anything. There's just like a moment of silence, and we're never told he and Oakley have anything to do with Team Rocket. So it's kind of weird how the American version just added to that. Because it's like, oh, if they're evil, if they're stealing, let's just make them a part of Team Rocket, and let's just make it so they're trying to steal the Pokemon for Giovanni. Which is like really like weird. They just added that for no reason. And finally, something that Terrific pointed out in the American version, they make it very obvious that like, oh, the Soul Dew has the soul of a Latios in it. Apparently, it's like the father of the Latios and Latias that we follow in the movie. Like, there's several places where they say that. Japanese version, they never really say that. I feel like they leave it as more of like a secret, so that way when you see Latios pass away and become like the new Soul Dew, it's more of like, oh, is that how it works? And like in the English version, no, they like make it very obvious that like that's what you can expect, and like how do they like foreshadow more, which is just kind of weird. Like I don't know why they did that. I don't know if they thought like American people were like too dumb and they wouldn't get it. It's just one of those things that they added that was like really weird. So yeah, it's really weird how, like I said, I don't know if all the movies have been like that so far. I gotta admit, I haven't really looked into them too much. But at least for this one specifically, it has the section in the Wikipedia page explain the differences. And I did indeed find it weird how there was just these just differences, between the dubs. So I just thought that was like, an interesting thing to like point out.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely interesting. And I guess, like, because we never really thought about it, because Wannabe Reviewer found this out by accident. about the changes between the dubs, now it makes me think like what other changes could have been made. But if we stumble upon any more changes in any following movies and whatnot, we'll let you guys know. Um, and yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, like this movie is kind of comparable to the second one, where they're showing you a whole lot of stuff, but nothing is really happening.
I guess
But
each scene is just really quick. I think that's why.
yeah, but
It's literally girls steal book. We cut to Ash and friends hanging out. Ash runs into Latias in girl form. Other girls catch up and try to catch Latias. Girl disappears. Ash goes to museum, sees the real Bianca, chases her, meets real Latias and Latios, is with them. Annie and Oakley infiltrate, steal Latios and Soldu, use machine. Everybody fights back against the machine. Latios and Latias overpower the wave. Latios sacrifices himself. At the end, Latias as Bianca kisses Ash, and movie. Like I literally just summarized it for you. Those are like the major scenes. They just pass by so quickly. It's like really, I don't know. I mean, it's not rushed, but it definitely, I don't know. It's just like not a lot happens. It's just like
yeah,
a lot of little events just together. It doesn't really feel a lot of weight to it. It doesn't really feel like you really settle on anything too much, Like we talked about it, like the first movie, we've said we feel it's great because it just feels like there's like a weight to like when they fight Mewtwo,
yes,
Like Mewtwo feels like a big villain.
mm-hmm.
And the third one, for instance, what was it? Oh, the third one,
The
as they're
Entei,
fighting like the little girl and everyone, and one she's like, they're underwater, and another one she has like her adult form or whatever. It just feels like there's a little bit of weight to it, It's like, oh, cool, they're fighting her in different locations. Every location looks different. It's kind of fun how they mess with like little girls' like imagination or whatever. Like that's really cool.
mm-hmm.
And even the fourth one, it had some moments like when Ash and Sam are like talking and bonding. We kind of take our time to like have the two of them bond and hang out. And I don't know. And here it's just very quick, just one thing after another, after another, after another.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like I can't put my finger on it, but I think like what you explained is pretty good. Like I don't know, man. Like this movie didn't really like focus on much other than Latios and Latias, which I mean, I guess the movie is technically about them, but there was no other like characterization. Like we didn't see Ash really interacting with anyone. Team Rocket didn't play a part in this. The villains are pretty one-dimensional, and like I don't
That's
know.
something. That's something we kind of talked about off camera before we began this. But yeah, it's just really awkward how like Team Rocket, they are barely in this. Like I don't think Team Rocket ever actually interacts with anybody. Like we see them eating and they get splashed with water. We see them eating again, then they get splashed by Annie and Oakley. In the English version, they say like, "Oh, aren't those a part of Team Rocket? Aren't they like Giovanni spies? Let's go after them." In the Japanese version, James recognizes them as wanted thieves, and that's why they go after them. But then they never actually interact with anybody. They just keep running into like traps and stuff.
Yeah.
So Team Rocket barely even plays a part. They're just there. Like literally, they don't even interact with anybody. We don't even get to see like an epilogue for them and what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Ash's friends are in the dark for like half the movie. Which remember we were talking about, we thought that was really interesting. Where basically like Ash runs into Bianca when Bianca, slash Latias disappears. You'd think he would tell his friends, like, hey, I met this girl that was being like followed. She might be in danger. Never tells his friends. When he sees the real Bianca at the museum and he runs after her, leaves his friend behind. When he, is interacting with Latios and Latias, then he goes back to like the Pokemon Center to sleep or whatever. It's not until there that he finally tells his friends, oh yeah, by the way, I met this like Latios and Latias on my own, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which like that was really weird. So yeah, that's why the movie just felt very strange because Ash's friends are in the dark like the whole time, don't really do anything. Team Rocket is in the movie, but they like serve no purpose. And yeah, like the villains, I mean, they have cool designs, and I mean, it makes sense. They're just thieves. I mean, it's easy characterization, but yeah, we don't really focus on like where they came from,
Mm-hmm.
why they do what they do. Like you said, they're like pretty
Yeah,
one-dimensional. So
which I guess is sort of why like the English dub tried to like like shoehorn in that they work with Team Rocket, like to give them some type of like other motivation. And like I guess, but I don't know. Like I said, like I said this off screen, but it just sounds really clunky how they do it. You know,
Yeah, for sure, for
so
sure.
I don't know. I
So,
guess take that
oh,
for what it is. So
so I mean, overall, I did enjoy the movie. I would still rank the second movie as like the worst one,
yes,
honestly. Like at least here, the villains, at least they have interesting designs. The fact that they're like these two sister sort of thieves, I mean, like, that's kind of interesting.
hmm
Um, I don't know, Latios and Latias, they are interesting as legendaries because Latios is like really protective of his, like, I'm guessing, sister. The way he sacrifices himself at the end, like, okay, that's interesting. And
yeah,
the whole thing with Latias, how she's like in love with Ash. I mean, it's cute and it's interesting. It's like, okay, I mean, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, sure, like, it's cute, I guess.
yeah,
But besides that, the movie doesn't really have too much going for it.
yeah.
It's not a. Oh, sorry. I guess you're gonna add something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I was thinking about it when you talked about how Latias is in love with Ash, and I was thinking, oh, it's sort of like his Bayleaf. But there's like no big Pokemon battles in this either. Like how the first
Oh, you're
movie,
right.
Ash
There's no
went,
battles at all.
yeah,
You're
Ash went
right. There's no
like toe
battles at
to toe with
all.
Mewtwo. The second movie was kind of man, but they still had the battle between like Lugia and
The
the different
legendaries.
birds. The third movie was like the hype was with what's the little
Yeah,
girl battling
yeah.
like
They kept
all of
fighting the
Ash's
little
friends.
girl. They
Yeah, and
kept
then
fighting
Ash versus
Entei.
Entei in the fourth movie, like again, it was like the Mass Marauder versus like Celebi and Ash with his Pokemon. And in this one, like what the best we see for Pokemon battles is like the Espeon straight up attacks Ash, and then Ash just has like Pikachu like shock Espeon and the
It falls
thieves.
over.
Yeah.
You're
So
so right. There was no
yeah, there's
battles in
no
this.
major
I
Pokemon
had not
battles.
noticed that there was no battles.
Yeah.
That Yeah, I don't know how I missed that. You're so right. There was no battles. That's so
Yeah. And
crazy.
and Ash and Misty and Brock, they send out their Pokemon to help Ash, which I guess maybe if you want to count that, but like they're like, "Oh, Ash is going to need his Pokemon if he's, in trouble." And then it never comes up again. Like
Yeah, that's so weird. I didn't even thought about that. But you're so right. There is no battles in this. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't count them as battles. It's literally just Pokemon attack each other with like a Thunderbolt or like a Psychic attack, and then
Yeah.
like the other Pokemon falls over basically.
Yeah. Like that's
That is
it.
so true. That is so awkward. I hadn't even noticed that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So maybe like the movie is just missing. Like they had a good concept, but like they failed on the application. I guess like they're missing some key elements. So like made the other movies great. So this one
More
is a bit
memorable and
mediocre.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we said, this one is definitely above the second movie. Like it'll take a while for us to think a movie is worse than that, but it is also below. Like it's in the middle, but still below the fourth movie. So right now we have what the first movie, the third movie, the fourth and fifth, and then the second.
Yeah.
Is that pretty
Something
right?
like that.
Yeah.
I think that's basically, yeah. That's the order I would put them in too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, take that analysis for what it is. Remember, these are just our opinions and we're just wannabe reviewers.
Right. But yeah, if there's a takeaway you should get from this, the only memorable scene is when Latias kisses Ash. That's
Yeah.
basically
And
it.
then the hentai fuel, so
That's basically it. So yeah, doesn't really speak too well about the movie, honestly. But
yeah. But I guess with that, the next movie that we're going to cover, is it Deoxys?
no,
No?
because I was looking at the order of the movies, and there's two that kind of mess up the order a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Because
that's right.
there's two TV specials that are technically movies.
Hmm
Because they're like an hour-long special. So basically what we're gonna do, even though we should have honestly covered it after I think like the third movie, I forget what the order is. There's
hmm
two specials. There's Mewtwo Returns, and there's the Mastermind of Mirage Pokemon. Luckily, we still have time. Mastermind of Mirage Pokemon, we will cover it like where it's supposed to be, so like don't
hmm
worry about that. But our next movie, though it should have been Jirachi at this point, we're gonna cover Mewtwo Returns because we did accidentally skip it. And
Yeah.
since Jirachi is Gen Like Pokemon Heroes kind of like, that's like the start of the third gen.
Hmm.
Before we move on to like the third gen, we might as well go back, cover that Mewtwo movie, and then we can like proceed in order from there. So the next one to keep an eye out for, we'll be covering Pokemon Mewtwo Returns.
Yes. So I guess stay tuned if you really want to see that, and also follow Wannabe Reviewer. He makes the spoiler-free reviews and podcasts, and I feel like by this point he's already going to implement like his changes, but I still won't spoil anything like just in case. So, but yeah, he has some changes coming if they're not already there, and I guess when this comes out, I might have some changes on my channel too. But you know the drill. Leave a like if you enjoyed and a comment. If you didn't enjoy, leave a dislike in the comment to let me know what I can do better. But with that, we will see you in the next movie analysis. Bye.